day, another dad.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
No worries.
Guys, welcome to another episode of Real Dad Movement Podcast. We've got Ben Skinner, one of our locals on the coast.
Safety.
Yeah, coasty. That's the way we like it. No, we've got dads. Actually, we got our first Northern Territory dad the other day, random.
Okay. Nice.
So we got one in every state and territory
Yeah.
in the country. Even ACT is different as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a couple in there too. I think at least one. Chris said, but mate, thanks for taking time out of your day.
Yeah.
Joining us. Those who are listening to this or watching this, Ben Skinner's been with RDM for
12 months.
12 months.
On the dot, pretty much.
That's right, start of the year. And mate, what a journey so far.
Yeah.
We'll obviously dive into it, but Ben's a local, runs his own business now. I don't think you were at the start, but you're looking at getting into that. Is that right?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to run my own business, but for whatever reasons, not enough confidence or something would happen, and I just put it behind me, put it to the side for another day type thing. So yeah, I worked for someone, and that was like a side job that I had, an aspiration to start up my own business and have my own workshop. But it was always just sort of put to the side most of the time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that should be the name of this. You guys should be excited for this episode. I am. Confidence is king. We should call it that, mate. You know, it really is when you've got the right environment and you're taking action. That's a big thing, isn't it? You know, you can be if you're confident and jovial in that nature, but you do fuck all with your life, or you're either just arrogant, or you've got an ego, or you eventually get found out. Perfect example. I don't know how you were with school, but for me with high school, a lot of the big dogs, so to speak, who either went through puberty early or had all the chat. Done fuck all with their life after school.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? But mate, talk to us. How's it been over the last 12 months, like from where you were to where you are now? But how have you found your journey with RDM?
Yeah, so probably going back to the start, I grew up in a small country town on the mid-north coast in South Wales, and left school in year 10, got an apprenticeship, building boats. And the romantic idea of building boats sounds nice, but the reality of it is all crawling around in fiberglass, getting that all on your skin. It's not so romantic after a couple of days. So I left that, moved to Sydney just before I turned 17. I got a job making beautiful custom-made timber furniture. So all like dovetail drawers and things like that. So yes, so from then I got married at 21, beautiful wife Catherine, and kids started coming along not long after that. And so living in Sydney, we owned a 1-bedroom unit in DY. And then when the kids started coming along, we were like, oh, we don't want to bring up our kids in a 1-bedroom box. So we decided to buy a house. So looking on Northern Beaches property, it's pretty, it's skyrocketing now. But at that stage, we could have just afforded one, but it would have been a stretch. So then we decided to look up the coast here. Houses were a bit more affordable and offered a bit more of a lifestyle that we wouldn't have had if we stayed on the beaches. And then once we made that decision, I told my boss what my plans were: buy a house up the coast and move up here. And that was my intention. I'd find a job up here eventually. So this is leading to how I got to where we are now. And so he came back the next day and he offered me a really good pay rise, cover all my travel expenses, and work a 4-day week. So that's like, that's gold. You can't knock that back. 4-day
traveling to the coast.
Long weekend. Every Friday off, long weekend every week. So that was fantastic. That was a good balance of working and life, and it was a young family, and you get to spend that 3 days together. It was really good. And then after that, I got another job offer, same deal, pay rise, 4 days a week, all my petrol and everything covered. And so I took that as well. I was working for, it was my best friend. He just started up his own workshop, and his business was going gangbusters. So he's like, come over, work for me, be the foreman, get off the tools, more money, 4 days a week, it's no brainer. So that was great as well. But then over time, that 4 days became 5 days. So I was working 50 plus hours a week, plus 3 hours each day commuting, so 15 hours a week commuting on top of that. And when you're in that environment, because he's Italian, so he's very passionate, and the atmosphere in that place was like really exciting. So if I wasn't there, I felt like I was missing out. So I just worked harder and worked more hours because it's just a fantastic place to work, and I loved it. And you know, you felt as part of the family. So, and once you're in that situation, I treated that business as my own. So I worked harder, did everything I could to help my mate and his business succeed. And then, you know, working hard, you get the rewards, you know, the praise and all the ego that comes along with, you know, doing really good things. But also on top of that, the commuting, because you'd work all day, you'd be flat out, you would eat here and there, have a few coffees to get you through. But then when you're driving home, because I'd leave at 5 o'clock in the morning and I wouldn't get home till 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night. So really long days, not eating well during the day. And then when things are calming down, you're in the car, you're going, oh, I'm starving. So what do? You stop at the servo, get a packet of chips, bottle of Coke, pull into Macca's, get a quarter pound of meal, something like that. And growing up, I was always very active as a kid, you know, riding BMXs, skateboards, playing soccer, basketball, surfing. And then when we moved to Sydney, kept surfing before work, after work, played in a men's basketball comp at night during the week. So always active and, you know, staying on top of all that. But when we moved up to the coast, all that stopped because of the long hours. I would get home at night, have dinner at 8 o'clock, and then fall asleep on the couch by 9 o'clock, you know, and then get up at 5 o'clock, do it all again, week after week. And then eventually, over time, so that was about a 9-year period, and I put on probably 10 to 15 kilos. And because my role at work had changed too, I was off the factory floor making stuff. I was more of a foreman role, so I was sitting on the computer, on the phone, driving around to different sites.
Yeah, less active.
Less active. The mind's going crazy. That's overworking, but my body's just pretty not doing anything really at all. And then on top of that, piling in all this rubbish food, and I just blew out. I found that on the weekends when I did get home and have some time with the family, I was irritable. Every chance I got, I'd be asleep. And then that cycle just kept going week after week. And eventually I sort of had I would call it like a nervous breakdown, just because my body was just firing all the time or asleep. You know, the mind was always working or was doing nothing.
Yeah, when you're a high performer, mate, in those sorts of roles, but you're not active or having the time to look after yourself, it can become. We speak about this as chaos. As always, you know, as a man, we wear lots of hats. Father was one of them. And you have 4 kids?
3 kids.
3 kids, yeah. So, you know, it's having 3 myself now, I can see it's like, and it's not the 2 isn't hard. It's just, you know, it's mouths to feed, lots of moving parts. There's chaos everywhere, mate, which means with that comes stress, which means if there's a lack of self-investment, there's less energy to handle the time management you need to handle and the limited time you have, which changes your mind, your body, everything, mate. It's, when you talk about the breakdowns like that, it's crazy, isn't it? How it can just come about when you blink and you're active in high school and all of a sudden, you're traveling to Sydney, you're putting in big hours, you're trying to build a future for your family, but it's coming at the cost of you.
Yeah.
So, what happened, mate? So not to interrupt you, I mean, that was a great intro. Appreciate you sharing that, Ben, especially for these guys watching, because you're not alone. The chaos, the stress, all that sort of stuff, you guys need to know that you're the ones listening to this. It's part of all of our lives. But what separates us, you know, what's the difference? But I'd love to know, like, what led to, once that breakdown happened, mate, what did you do?
Yeah, so I think I was driving home one night up the freeway, and the drivers on the M1 coming from Sydney to the coast are just maddening. And I got to a stage where I would leave the workshop and then drive an hour and a half and walk in my front door and not remember driving home. So I'd go to put my key in the front lock, and I'm like, what? And realised I'm at home, and I can't remember driving an hour and a half. And so eventually I walked in one night and said to my wife, said, look, I'm done. Like I'm just, it's too stressful. Whenever I get a text message or a phone call, because I was the problem solver, whenever someone had a problem out on site or in the factory or whatever, I was the go-to guy to fix the problem or to guide them on the next move type thing. So every time my phone rang, was 90% of the time was a problem that I had to solve. So whenever I got that ding ding, it was like, oh, I'd have like a mini panic attack. And so I said to my wife, look, I'm done. I just can't do this anymore. Yeah. And so she goes, yep, I know, you should have realised this, years ago. And because she's at home with, at that stage, 2 kids, and I'm working in Sydney, an hour and a half away. She's running the house, doing everything, and then I come home late at night, grumpy, irritable, go off at the kids for the smallest thing. Just in my head, I'm going, look, I'm working so hard to provide for this family and do everything. Being really selfish, really. And so I was like, I'm doing all this for you guys, but then when I'm in their presence, I'm going off at them and, just don't want to have any part of it. It's like, go work it out, go into your room, go sort your problems out, go to your mother type thing.
Hard, isn't it? Because it can become a chronic habit, man.
Yeah.
We love our wives, who want the best for them, we want to look after them, but I mean, mate, tell us surely that, like most things and most people in that environment long enough, probably would have created some strain and struggle with your relationship with her and relationship with your kids.
Yeah, so after we had that sort of conversation, saying, I can't handle this anymore. So I rang up my friend and resigned, and he understood. He was like, yeah, I've noticed, you've been struggling lately with everything. And because his business grew so quick, as his business grew, we all sort of grew along with it. And the role that I was doing after I left was taken over by 3 other guys. And then, so I resigned, picked up a job on the coast, and it was 5 minutes down the road. So it was a nice, 10 minutes after I knocked off in the afternoon, I was at home. So we could spend time at the park because the kids were, starting to ride bikes and everything like that. So, so for a couple of years there, it was nice just working local and no pressure, no responsibilities like I had before. Yeah, so it was just a couple of years there. Yeah, things going along really smooth and sort of refreshed a bit, lost a little bit of weight after I stopped commuting and eating all that rubbish on the way home. And,
it's probably a time that was needed to rejuvenate, I guess, mate, because you've been burning yourself for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think I remember you telling me about your Italian mate. I was just curious, just not to go off your story, but just the principles behind it. What led to him having that massive success? Was it just trying to micro tweak? Is there something that might be similar in what you see in RDM, just constantly refining little bits to continually improve and get better? Or how did that happen?
Yeah, well, he's an amazing guy. As a growing up in high school, he was like the black duck. He was a bit of an outsider, but he was so passionate. Like everything he did 110% and then some. And so whatever he turns his hand to, he's focused on that. And if there's a problem, he'd adjust. Yeah, okay, that didn't work. Let's try this, see if that works. Yep, that works. All right, let's go, full steam ahead. And he's constantly changing and improving things. And he's not stuck on this is the way we do it. This is how it's going to be forever. He's always constantly just tweaking little things here and there, and improving his systems and the way he does stuff. And he's just built a phenomenal business, and he's doing really well.
It's an important part of life, though, mate. People resent change, right? That's because they haven't built themselves up, or they don't have the focus or awareness to apply the energy to influence the change, regardless of the level of control they have on it. You're a perfect example. You could have kept doing the same job, mate, and you could have fallen apart and been completely fucked. Really.
Yeah.
you didn't. You changed, and you recognise that and realise that there's a way to create some changes in your life, which is a big part of RDM when we're looking at investing yourself. Having the flexibility to change the circumstances.
Yeah.
People will be listening to this, dads will be listening to this and be like, oh yeah, I am like Ben. I live in Newcastle, or I live in Wollongong and I drive up to Sydney, or I live in Penrith and I drive into the city, and awesome, good for you. But if you're happy with that, great, accept it. But a lot of guys say, no, I just have to do it. It's like, well, no, you don't. It's your belief system. You think that you're not worthy of finding a better job. You believe that you have to travel that much for work, and all these belief systems, they're not a right or wrong. It's just ownership over them, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, that's it.
And there's always ways that we can create time. And I guess I think I asked you that question maybe yesterday or the other day, like, how much do you think, and we'll talk about your journey with RDM, but how much do you think this has freed up your time and your energy to apply better value to the time you have since joining RDM?
Yeah, so before, I would always, in my head, I thought I was flat out all the time. Because while I've been working for this other guy on the side, I was starting to develop my own business on the side as well. So basically working 2 jobs. So I always thought I was busy. I was either working, making stuff, making furniture, or I was at home doing quoting or stuff around the house. So in my head, like I'm flat out 24 hours a day type thing. But in reality, I would zone out on the couch. I'd get home from work and just sit on the couch, scroll through Facebook or Instagram for an hour or two.
Watching my videos.
Watching your videos. And then, spend a bit of time for the kids. And, there's a lot of wasted time where you think you're busy doing things, but you're not really. You're just sort of, existing. And so since joining RDM, that sort of wasted time that I used to spend scrolling on the phone, watching Netflix or whatever, now it's better spent, going for a walk around the block, going for a run through the bush, doing all that sort of thing. And I think just before I joined, the reason I joined RDM was, once again, I was building up my own business on the side, burning candles at both ends, working 2 full-time jobs basically. And I got to the end of the year and I was exhausted again. So that busyness that I had previously in my last job, I'd sort of worked up to again. So I was flat out, I was irritable. I would work, from 5 o'clock in the morning till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, not eat properly, stop at Macca's on the way home. So that cycle was happening again. And I got to the end of the year, and so Christmas holidays, and this is like 2019, and I was just sat on the couch for pretty much 3 weeks, and I think I watched like 5 seasons of Ice Road Truckers. So I was exhausted. Like, I got 3 beautiful kids who wanted me to play with and take them out. And all I can manage is to sleep in late, wake up, have a coffee, sit on the couch and watch 6 seasons of Ice Road Truckers. That's my Christmas holiday break, right? Just hanging out to go back to work in the end of January and be flat out again. So I was sitting there and I'm like, what am I doing, And you say quite often, what's the alternative? So I'm sitting there looking at my Netflix thing, saying, you've watched all this TV. And I'm going, what am I doing? Like, I got no energy. I'm exhausted. I'm 41. What am I going to be like at the end of next year? What am I going to be like in 5 years, 10 years' time? Like, what's the alternate to sitting here feeling like a sack of potatoes with no energy, no sort of drive to do anything? So that's where I was. And then scrolling on Facebook, your video came up. And then so I watched it. I was like, oh, what's this going on about? Little dad. And so I watched it. And everything you said in that video was like me. He's like, are you tired, overworked, struggling with your, your missus and family and all this type of thing? Do you want some, energy? And everything you said in that video is like, oh man, you just described me exactly where I'm at the moment. So then I sent off the email and we spoke on the phone and went from there.
Yeah. Rest is history, mate.
That's it.
12 months on. 12 months on, you've got your own business, and how is life treating you across all areas?
Yeah, it's great. So since the first, when I first started RDM, I filled out like my weekly, what I ate during the week. So I wrote out my normal week, which was, wake up, have some 4 Weet-Bix with honey, coffee. Morning tea would be peanut butter sandwiches. On a Friday at work, we'd have hamburgers or pies, sausage rolls on Friday. Lunchtime would be peanut butter sandwiches. I'd come home, eat a box of Jats, probably have another coffee, sit on the couch and fall asleep. Maybe because I was trying to sort of develop my business as well. So all that pressure. So I'm not a big alcohol drinker, but I started over the previous year just having 1-2 beers every night. And then on weekends, it's having 2 or 3. And then, so I filled that in. And then your reply to me was, Ben, I've looked at your diet, mate. You're eating like one of your kids.
I was going to say that's a good routine for a 10-year-old.
Yeah. You said, you're a man, you got to eat like a man. And I'm like, oh, I thought that was all right. Weet-Bix is okay, isn't it? Yeah. And that realization was like, yeah, bloody hell, I'm eating like my 12-year-old son. And here I am spending all this energy trying to build this business and work hard and look after the family and all these things. And I'm eating like a 12-year-old.
I got fucking tears, man. I'm cracking up. It's just, and not for you personally, it's crazy, right? We don't think that we need energy to produce energy.
Yeah.
Mate, it's it's unreal, isn't it?
Mm.
And I'm laughing as well, those who are listening and watching, because obviously I've seen the other end where he is now, but so many like that though, mate.
Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah. That's right. We started building out your roadmap and away we went.
Yeah. So then you're like, mate, you need to, have a decent breakfast. For lunch, you need to have some red meat, some steaks, some chicken breast, mashed potatoes, rice, all that sort of stuff. You need to start putting some fuel in the tank, to drive the engine. I'm running on empty basically. And so within 2 weeks, my energy levels just switched on and was 100% on what I was previously. Yeah.
What about the routines, like the habits that we built out, started to give you more time within what you're doing as well for yourself, for your family? Like you do bush runs, trails, what you do with the kids now, it's fucking amazing, mate. Hashtag maintain the rage. It's inspiring, man. Like to see that shift, and you run your own business, like the freedoms, the responsibilities, they're always there, but it's unreal, mate.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. So previously, I probably would have, I've looked for the magic pill. So I look for the quick fix, the easiest way to get the maximum benefit. But trying those things, it wouldn't last. I'd stick to it for like 6 months, but it didn't work. I had less energy than when I started, so I'd give it up and then move on. So I was always looking like I want to lose weight, but I just try and cheat around it, without putting any effort in. Like if I could snap my fingers and lose all the weight, then I'd be good, Or I'd make up excuses. Oh, when this happens, I'll do this. And then that snowballs into actually doing nothing. And so when I started RDM, I got my food organised, so putting fuel in the tank. And the way I thought about food totally changed. So before, when I'd eat, you'd eat to fill a hole. I'm hungry. I need to fill that hole, so I just chuck whatever in there. But then realizing that the food is your energy, that's what gives you the power. So I'm like, okay, well, what I'm putting in my body is giving me energy. So it's like putting E10 in or premium, And so I started thinking about food differently. as not eating for the sake of eating, but eating to give me the energy so I can do what I want to do.
Yeah, eat to perform.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've heard a lot of nutritionists bag that out as well. Like, it's not like fuel for the car. It works so much differently, and well, whatever works for them, but in a way that brings context so you understand the value of it. Fucking bang on, man. Because it is the truth. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I tried before, because you think to lose weight, you've got to diet. So eat less, to lose the weight. But in eating less, you got less energy. So you don't feel like going out and exercising and doing all that sort of thing. So by eating more, I had the energy there to go out and start running. So I think I started off just walking around the block. I'd do maybe 3 or 4 Ks every night. And then I started jogging around the block. And then I started doing the park runs on Saturday morning, so 5 Ks every Saturday. And then now I go, and then COVID hit. So everything went into shutdown and everything stopped. So around our house, we have all these beautiful trails. There's all the national parks, state forests. There's all these beautiful tracks in there. So I just started discovering these places and going for runs. And I love it. Like, you get out there, and what I like about the trail runs is because you're on this little pathway, and down this side's like cliff, and then this side's all rock, and it just really narrows your focus. So because you get out there and your head's full of everything going on, but once you get out there on this little narrow trail and there's trees wishing past you, your focus really narrows in onto the path in front of you, and everything just goes out of your mind. You're just concentrating on where your feet are going. There's boulders you're jumping over, logs you're thing. So at the end of the trail run, your heart's pumping, your head's clear, and it just feels great.
So I'm actually going to make a note of that. Focus. Like, focus equals presence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because when you focus, you are then present in the moment in life, which means you have control over the type of tunnel vision that you choose, like what you said when you go down those trail runs. And how do you feel after you do them?
Yes.
As opposed to watching season 7 of Ice Truckers.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, fantastic, mate. Yeah, it's really good. And then throwing in on top of that, the workouts that I'm trainerised and all that sort of stuff. So I get out on our back deck and do the home workouts. And then, I've got 2 boys, and they come out and they start doing push-ups and running around and star jumps and all the different things. And you can see it through, the kids seeing me going out, because I usually go out at night to do my runs during the weekday, and then on the weekends I go out into the bush and do like a trail run on Saturday and Sunday morning. And so seeing the kids get involved, and then they go, come on, let's go kick the ball down at the park. And whereas before I'd go, no, I'm too busy. I got all this work to do. Now it's like, oh yeah, right, let's go. Come on, get the ball, let's go. And so spending more time with them as well as me getting out there and running around. Yeah, it's really good.
How does it make you feel, mate, to see that you've had that ripple effect where even training, exercise, push-ups becomes standard for your sons?
Yeah, no, it's really good. Because otherwise, what's the alternative? They're in there, they're on the PlayStation or watching movies and just sitting around staring at a screen. Whereas it's really good. Like my son, he's gone for a bike ride today, but last night he didn't want to, because yesterday they went for a bike ride. He's got this little BMX gang that he hangs around in. They build jumps and the stuff, but they've recently got into Pokemon Go again. So his friends just want to ride around catching Pokemon, whereas my son's like, oh no, I just want to go and do jumps and things like that. So he's going, well, I don't want to just stare at my screen now. I want to go ride bikes and go to the skate park and do all that type of thing.
That's amazing, man. It's incredible. And you are, this is the big thing. Even dads listening or watching this, like, you are, through your own legacy, you're helping them build theirs.
Yeah.
It's not a heavy thing. It can be if you're on your deathbed and you feel a bit of regret.
Yeah.
Like the fucking heaviest thing ever.
Yeah.
But it's not, mate. It's a beautiful opportunity. Like what you were saying earlier, I was entertaining that thought. I was thinking about it. I was like, shit, the alternative. You just keep doing that, going that path. Like, what a horrific feeling, mate, knowing that before you're even 50, you have no idea how your life's going to turn out. Like, that's one of the craziest fucking things ever. And it's not, I'm not pinpointing that on you. I'm just saying the alternative to change and becoming better and more. And those listening who may feel the same, mate, take some notes, because this is your life. Yeah. There are so many things like COVID and lots of other shit that we can't control. I get that. But what we can control within ourselves that we know, but we don't, man, I used to tippy toe as my latest podcast, Sedation and Distraction. And I used to tippy toe around a little bit because people would look at what we're talking about here with Netflix or other things, or what I openly say a lot. I don't watch TV and don't read or watch the news or read newspapers or really listen to radios or anything that takes away my time and focus. I laugh every day. I have lots of fun. It's not like I'm a hermit and this is all I do, but I value my time so much, mate, that doesn't hold a role for me. And people will look at that and go, that's extreme. I laugh at those comments, but people will say, yeah, but I don't want to sacrifice it. I like to watch a little bit of TV here and there. And I'm like, well, is it a sacrifice? Like, if you want to become a better version of yourself, it's not a sacrifice at all, is it, mate, by making some of these changes?
Yeah, I think you put a post up about sacrifice. Like, you hear, if you want to get fit, you got to sacrifice all this stuff. And then I laughed because it's like, what are you sacrificing? Being, tired, non-energetic, sitting on the couch? That's not a sacrifice.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's a sacrifice if you don't.
That's it.
Of what you can become.
Yeah.
And like I said, I used to tippy toe around it, but like, fuck that. If you come to me saying every time now, but then we do an audit on your life and showcase your bleeding, which we find is a common theme. All of our dads get 2 to 3 hours back a day. That's a lot, man. That's a lot of life, and it's with purpose, with more energy.
Yeah.
That's a shitload more life.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you're not willing to give up things that don't serve you, then that's the caliber of man I don't want in our environment. The end. And I won't tippy toe around that stuff anymore either, mate. Each to their own. I don't judge people for it, but fuck that. Like, you're not good enough to rise up and evolve into the man that we can and you should and could become as well. And I'll finish on this note with anyone who wants to argue it. If that's the case and that's your truth, awesome. You tell me, Ben, would you kick back on your deathbed reminiscing about all the amazing fucking TV shows you watch, mate, while you're looking at your children and grandchildren's eyes for the last time?
No, not at all.
No fucking way. No way. Food for thought. Like, how's this changed? So we talked right at the start about confidence. How's this changed your life in terms of confidence, your business, like where you are now and where you're actually going, mate? Like, in your next vision, 2021 and beyond.
Yeah, so after getting my energy levels back, I've always been at school. I was the quiet kid. Growing up, because I was always the youngest in the class. I'm the youngest of 3 boys, so I got 2 older brothers. So I don't know if it's because I was, the baby of the family or something like that. I was always sort of looked after. So I've always been a bit quiet, a bit reserved. Like, I'll work hard and do the best I can. And I found what I was doing, because over the years, like, I was always the last person to leave. If the job had to get finished, I'd stay back and get it done. That sort of attitude. And like, we grew up going to church. I'd play guitar. So every Sunday I was there serving every week. Whenever there was an event on, I'd be there helping set up, get everything organised, looking fantastic, doing whatever I could. But I realised only last year that a lot of things that I did to serve other people was I liked the praise that I would get, because I'm a bit quiet. I'm not out there, waving my own flag. So I work quietly in the background, doing all the background stuff. And then people go, like my bosses would go, oh, look at Ben, he comes in when he's sick. Oh, look at Ben, he comes in on Saturdays to get the job done. Oh, look at Ben, he's this example of working hard. And I'm like, yeah, that's feeding my ego, I like that. I don't have to be all boisterous and look at me, but just going about my business, doing what I do, it's like I'm getting that praise and that little slap on the back, job well done. And then after joining RDM and raising my energy levels, and then after that, growing in confidence as I'm seeing my body change because I'm, doing some exercise, going running, eating well, my body's changing, a bit more confidence in myself. I came to realize that a lot of what I was doing was to get that praise. That's where I got my energy from before, because I would be dog tired, worked a massive week, but then I'd go in and help someone out to do whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, thanks, Ben. Oh, Ben's reliable. Ben's, if you need something done, call Ben because he'll do it, And that came to the detriment of my own family. Like my wife and kids would miss out because they'd need me at home. I'm like, oh no, so-and-so has asked me to do this, so I've got to go and help out type thing. But then as my confidence in myself grew, I'm like, I'm only doing it a lot of the time to get that praise because that I feed off that. And it's like, oh yeah, that's what keeps me going. But as I grew in confidence, I'm like, I don't need that. Just having, doing my own thing, being happy in myself it's enough. I don't need other people's praise. I don't need other people telling me, oh, good job, you're the hardest worker, et cetera, et cetera. And after I realized that, just my confidence grew. And then, so when people ask me to do something, I say, oh, no, I can't help you. I've got this on, spend time with my family. I'm going for a run. I've got other things on. Whereas before, I'm like, oh, I've got to say yes, because if I don't say yes, they'll think, oh, Ben's letting the team down type thing. And then, so after I realized that, just my confidence grew. And then with my business, I've always wanted to start a business, but I probably lacked maturity and confidence. So I'd try and set the wheels in motion. So at the end of 2019, I was looking at setting up a workshop. So we went through the real estate, did all the negotiations, agreed on the price, everything's going ahead. I went out, the guy goes, yep, your offer's been accepted, sign the paperwork, send it in, you're all good. So I'm like, beauty, I'm finally doing this, And then a couple of weeks went past, I went out and bought all this machinery, woodworking machinery. And I said to my wife, do you want to just chase up the real estate agent, see when we can get the keys? And he goes, she rang him up, and he goes, oh, sorry, we've given that to someone else. And so I'm like, oh, okay. I've sort of stepped out to try and, do something bigger and better than myself. And I've just been, knocked down. So then I retreated, back into my shell, quiet. I'm destined to just work for somebody else. Every time I try and rise above, I just get knocked down. This is my role in life, just to be the servant, to be the guy who backs up the other person who's out there charging for. And but after realizing, that nothing's ever just given to us easy. And as you say, 1%, you do one thing each day to improve yourself. So over time, it's like 1%. Okay, well, I lost that factory. Let's just sit back and reassess. And then another opportunity came up. And then instead of going, oh no, I've been burnt before, I'm like, oh yeah, bring it on. All right, yeah, that sounds good. Let's get into it. And then so we start going down that path, and then there's a hurdle. Something comes up. I bought this panel saw, but because of COVID and everything got shut down, they said, look, we either have to deliver it or we have to sell it to someone else, and you're not getting your money back. And I'm like, well, mate, everything's shut down. I don't know what's happening. You're just going to have to sell it. So I come to the realization, I'm going to lose all my money on this machinery, right? And then things started going along, and I'm like, oh, hang on, this opportunity's come up. Hang on, mate, don't sell that. And he's, oh, too late, it's gone. So I'm like, oh, okay. Then I retreat again, another hurdle. But then now, when those hurdles come up, I've got the strength in myself to go, oh, this is great. A hurdle, that means I'm making progress. So I jump the bloody hurdle, then run along, things are smooth for a little while, and then something else comes up, a little roadblock. And then I'm like, oh, okay, there's another problem to solve. And instead of retreating like I would before and going, oh, I can't do this, I'm not worthy of bettering myself, or it's for other people to succeed and I'm just here to as a backup. I'm like, oh, stuff you, I'm jumping that hurdle. So jump that hurdle, run along, keep going, another hurdle. Now I'm like, look forward to the hurdles, because that means you're moving forward, you're doing stuff, you're not just sitting back and letting life happen to you. You're taking charge of your own, your own trail and pushing forward. So now I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, mate. And great way to explain it too. Like we don't invite the hurdles into our life, but we welcome them when they arrive. Because we know on the other side of that is a better version of who we are.
Yeah,
that's the truth, mate. And it's funny that everything you're saying there, a lot of it aligns with the patterning of myself. I was number three out of four kids, but the fourth, he was like 8-9 years after me. So I was the baby of the family with two older brothers who love me and I love them, but obviously older brothers are older brothers.
Yeah.
And I always felt that I just needed this steady hand on my shoulder going, everything will be all right, Al. You're doing a good job, mate. Well done. Keep going. Blah, blah. Ownership without ownership sort of thing. Like you treated, like you said, your mate's business as if it was your own, but it was always to the craving of getting that validation. So it's a funny feeling too, because it's so lucrative in that moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then that moment becomes part of your makeup, becomes your character trait.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the blinkers come on to the burning fire in the house that is the family.
Yeah.
Or important parts of your family or your life that we neglect, mate, to keep chasing that perceived reward.
Yeah.
And to see you break out of that with lots of different hurdles of what 2020 brought is it's fucking amazing, man. Like, you should be proud of yourself. It really is. And that's not to say anyone, we've got heaps of dads who are employees, awesome, but they've built and grown within that organisation, or they're finding a better way to perform and find fulfillment in what they do in their performances for themselves. And that's unreal. That's awesome. But it's just great to see that that's what we spoke about in our first phone call. I'd like to start my own business, go out my own. I remember our conversation. I remember all of them.
Yeah.
And to see that come to light or come to life and the fruits of that labour so far is awesome, mate.
Yeah. And then it all happened in the middle of COVID. So when, places are closing down and people are becoming unemployed, like our kids were at home from school. And so like we're out there, everyone's shut down, everyone's bunkering down, all this evil COVID's going to, we can't step outside, we can't breathe the air. Whereas it's not that we weren't sort of being responsible, people in the community just, blazing through, but I'm like, I'm not going to let that control my whole life. Sure, we've got to be aware and, we'll wash our hands and do what we're supposed to do. But we were out there as a family, like bushwalking, discovering all these beautiful places away from everyone else who's stuck in their house, scared to death, watching the numbers go up and down. And then we're out there like looking over these beautiful waterways and the mountains and the trees. And we'd come home and like me and my two boys dug up the veggie garden, made some veggie patches, and we're just doing stuff like I was putting up posts on Instagram with the boys, like Real Dad Movement, teaching my 10-year-old how to cook sausages on the barbecue, cooking class with Dad, or gardening with Dad, teaching the boys how to mow the lawns and all this stuff. So while everyone else is cowering, it's like, oh, this is our opportunity to thrive. And then in the middle of COVID, all these opportunities for my business came up, all these jobs started coming in. And I'm like, well, the world's telling me to, bunker down and don't do anything. But all these opportunities come up. If I don't do it now, I've never had a better opportunity than what's presenting itself to me now. I've just got to grab it and go with it. And sure, it might not work out in the long run, But I would be more upset if I just sat back and said, oh, no, I'm just going to play it safe. I'm getting a nice wage working for this guy. I'm more secure doing that. I'd be more upset if I retreated back to that old me that would have been comfortable working for someone, that secure paycheck every week, than realizing these opportunities that presented itself in front of me and just going, I'm just going to run with it. I'm going to give it everything I've got. All the time and effort I put into working for these other people, I can do that for myself and grow this. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, shut up shop, sell the machines, do whatever. But I don't think now I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try and just push forward and, give it everything.
It's incredible, man. You are like everyone needs to understand, you are your greatest resource. So if you want security in your life, mate, expand. Don't contract.
Yeah.
Don't contract. Like we expanded in 2020. RDM, the foundations are bigger than ever again. I thought go time. I thought 2020 is go time. We go out and we execute, we produce, and we get the rewards. It's like, no, actually, this is the opportunity to build an even bigger foundation with even bigger rewards. I'm not talking about money specifically. I'm talking about changing lives and impact. And our coaching staff is bigger and better than ever. All these different things where the world said retract, find ways to survive, save. Let's save. Spend more than ever on expanding, not on stupid things that don't matter, of course. On investing in myself, and that's awesome to see that, and that confidence that you're carrying through. Like I said, it goes out in your family life, goes out in your kids, all three of them, not just your sons, because they're obviously primal. I've got that with my little man now. It's going to be a different relationship to my two daughters, but it's incredible to see that the household that you're carrying this leadership, mate. It really is, because leadership is after the fact.
Yeah.
It's never in the moment. You're never a leader in the moment because you're experiencing that moment. But afterwards, when you reflect, it's like, I am standing up. I do have the balls to back my beliefs and build those beliefs. And where does it take you now? Like heading into 2021, that confidence and leadership, mate. Like what lays ahead for Ben moving throughout, the decade of dads, year two of this decade. Where to, mate, from here?
Well, I think it's just keep on trying to improve myself, to not just maintain what I'm doing now, but to grow in all areas of, my nutrition and my relationship with food and my meal prepping and all that type of thing, but also my mindset. So, because I've come from that being that quiet kid to starting to step out and with more confidence, is just to keep growing that. And even because now I deal, with a lot of builders and architects, designers, clients, and all that sort of stuff. You sort of got to be out there and push yourself forward. If you sit back and let things happen around you, you just get lost. So now I'm just trying to develop that strong character to be able to, stand up for myself, get my point across. Because I think you asked me to do a podcast maybe 6 months ago, maybe longer. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not ready.
That's good, though. I was one of the people you said no to.
Yeah. So it was like, I really want to do it, but what do I talk about? My story is not that interesting. Or, I'm just like, I'm not good enough to do anything like that. So now that's all gone, and I'm just trying to, build everything up around me. It was good. Like a couple of weeks ago, my daughter, she's about to turn 16, going into year 10, and all her friends are, they're getting jobs at Baker's Delight and McDonald's and all those types of places. And we said, oh, do you want to get a job after school? What would you like to do? Do you want to work at Macca's? And she's like, no, I don't want to work there. Well, what do you want to do? And I said, oh, I want to get into real estate. And so like a 16-year-old telling you, oh, I want to get into real estate. And I was like, what? You serious? And so she's picked her courses for school, and she's picked like commerce and all these different subjects. And I think my wife said to her, "Oh, don't you want to do this class because all your friends will be doing that?" And she said, "Why would I want to do that just because everyone else is?" And I just went over and go, like the big high five. Okay, that is awesome. Like, keep that attitude, because don't just follow everyone else because that's what they're doing. Tread your own path. If you've got the confidence now at 16 to go, I don't want to pack shelves and take money at the windows at McDonald's. I want to, get out and try and sell houses. Like, keep that attitude, and you'll smash it.
100%, mate. We crave and look for that herd mentality as social creatures, being humans, but the standard or normal or average is pretty fucking lackluster, in my opinion, mate, from what the world's putting out, from what we can do. It's like, herd mentality might be great in the right environment with a higher standard, aka RDM. Like, absolutely, these are your standards. You want to be part of the pack? Unreal. Shine in that. Beautiful. Awesome. Good for you. But it's great that you're recognizing stepping out of that, because you expand and reach, Ben, which becomes an attractive thing, and I'm not here to be a business coach for anyone. It's just human nature and the energy you put in the universe, mate. It's that simple. It will come back. It becomes an attractive thing. It really does. Doesn't mean you're power-driven, ego. Doesn't mean the opposite. That means you're supplicating and submissive. It's just standing your place, where you stand in the earth, in this world, is something that people are drawn to, because a lot of people don't know where they stand. And even sometimes there are bigger organizations or setups that may definitely need someone like your skills and expertise to drive home a product or service to deliver what they need and desire, and they fucking need that, mate. I always look back in my footy times and wonder why I didn't get a crack at first grade earlier, and it was that. I was not the hardest, I don't want to disrespect the guys I went through pre-season with, but I worked as hard as I could with our pre-seasons, and I would perform well. And I would do better than others in pre-seasons. We all worked hard, but man, I busted my ass. But I was always quiet, and I was shy. I saw the coaches as on this pedestal, as like they were these authoritarian enforcers, where I just like, awesome, thanks, mate, I'll just train hard, I'll do whatever you say. If I'd have gone into the coaches meeting, and I know this now, that hard when you're 21, 22, right? Yeah. If I had gone in there and said, "Coach, what do I need to do to play first grade? I'm fucking busting my ass. I want to win. What does that look like for you? What does that structure look like? What do you need from this position? What can I do to improve myself? Where are the weak points, mate?" Mate, if someone came to me like that, let's say even if someone came wanted to be part of RDM and they wanted to get a role inside of RDM, something, if they came to me with that sort of attitude, it doesn't matter their age, but that level of passion and confidence and drive to be more, just like your daughter, that's unreal, mate. Like, that is an attractive thing. Those coaches, they would have been like, "Oh, fucking look at this bloke. Were you doing that when you were 20? I wasn't doing that when I was 20. And then all the coaches would be there going, "Fuck, he's got the goods. Imagine if he can put that out on the field. Let's see what he can do." And mate, I would have gotten that attention. Not that I was neglected, but so many are when they have the goods. But it's got to come from the inside out, doesn't it, mate? Yeah, it does. But been an awesome episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's a great episode. Don't be worried at all, mate. This has been a killer. The guys, I hope you've gotten a lot of value out of this. Those watching on YouTube or listening, don't forget, we're across a few different platforms: Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, obviously iTunes, Anchor, and we've got our own Real Dad Movement website page with podcast. But just to wrap up, Ben, what would be, I guess, some advice? Like, yes, life is full of chaos. We'll always have stress. Yes, energy is very important. Looking after yourself, valuing yourself, confidence, all of these all roll together. And almost, seldom done alone and isolated. Having the tribe's been amazing that you contribute to as well. But what's some advice you would give to a father out there? Like, are there one or two key things or quotes or sayings or something to just flip the switch for you? Like, what's something you can pass on some knowledge to a dad watching or listening to this who knows he can do it or he needs or what he needs to do but hasn't?
Yeah. Well, probably the biggest thing for me was, so what's the alternative? So I can sit on the couch and be a sloth, or I can just get up and do something. And then next is 1%. So you don't have to climb the mountain. You don't have to go from the base of the mountain to the top of the mountain in one step. You know, it's 1,000 steps to get to the top of the mountain. I think what held me back a lot of the time was thinking that I had to have it all together. I had to know everything. So with diet, I was like, oh, I want to lose weight. I got to eat better. How do I eat better? Well, I'm being told I have to read the labels on the packets in the supermarket before I buy it. I look at it and it's like 8 grams of sodium, 10 grams of fats, whatever. I have no idea what I'm looking at. So, okay, well, you know, eating healthy is sort of, that's like a dark art type thing, you know. So it's taking action, just doing something, going for a walk, eating better. You don't have to be some special nutritionist expert to eat better. You know, it's just eating. Everyone knows what good food is: vegetables, meats, standard stuff. So you don't have to be an expert before you start. That's what held me back a lot. It's like I have to be an expert in what I'm doing before I can start to apply it to my life. And then the result of that was I didn't do anything because I thought, oh, I don't have the time to do all the research and learn about it, retain that knowledge, apply it, and then go out and do it. Now it's like, okay, diet, eating like a 12-year-old boy, just eat more meat and some mashed potatoes. Okay, I can do that, easy. Red meat, my old man was a butcher. I grew up working in a butcher shop after school. So yeah, red meat, I'm all for that. Mashed potatoes, easy peasy. Simple. So then just doing that 1%, just making it easy, not making it complicated, and just doing something. You know, just taking action, 1%, and what's the alternative?
Love it, mate. That's some great things that ultimately form the habits of our life that forms your life. You are what you repeatedly do, you know, and just to wrap up and end on that note, couldn't agree more. Like what those listening or watching, what is the alternative? All right, future pace that. And what does that look like for your life in 5, 10, 15 years for yourself and family? Pretty fucking hard truths there, man.
Yeah.
If you don't do something. Awesome. What if you do something? Great. Use that to inspire you. And then you're right. Look at marathon runners. It's only one step at a time.
Yeah.
You know, if they didn't land the other foot, they'd fall over. But it's only a simple process. It's not something complex. Just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And your last one it really struck me actually, because being borderline perfectionists, we all have expectations. We have expectations over the wrong things, mate. We have expectations over the outcomes. You can't control that.
Yeah.
You can have expectations over your own standards, and you can execute actions with that. Just take action, like I said. No one's got it together, mate. That's what I've learned most about life since becoming a father. No one, no matter what they put on social media, how good people think they have, no one's got all their shit together, and you'll never have all the answers.
Yeah.
But learn, take action, dive into it. Truth be told, like in terms of sodium levels, I don't have it down pat for what I should be having at 110 kilos for the amount of exercise I do and so on. I know salt, white sea salt's fucking amazing for you, so I choose to implement that into my diet. So there are certain things that I never want to be a complete professional at because it takes me off the eyes on the prize of what's important for me, but at least we're taking action.
Yeah.
Ripper, mate. Thanks for coming on. It's been great having you, man. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's good.
How's it been, all right?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I'm all right to hang out with. It's good to have you in the office, man. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, whether you watched or listened to this. Remember, anything you need, alex@realdadmovement.com.au, but I won't be that bland with anything you need. If your life is in fucking pieces because you don't have your shit together, how about you email me and we'll work out some habits and routines, quick kills, the RDM method, that I will show you that will help you get 2 to 3 hours back of your life every day and triple your energy, because that's what it's about, mate. You get those two together in the right environment, you can't lose.
No.
Hope you enjoy this again, guys, and thanks again, Ben, for joining us.
No worries, mate.
Cheers, mate. Beauty. That was a great episode, man.
Yeah, all right.
That was a great episode. I'm just going to hit record and then we'll do the real one. Fuck it, imagine